so glad you're here. Tonight we're going to be making stuffed cabbage, which is something that my mother made. I don't have a memory of when we didn't have stuffed cabbage. So the first thing that I'm going to do is tell you about how I got the cabbage leaves soft and wilty so we can work with them. I filled this pot up with water and let it boil. And then at that point, I got a cabbage. Oh, there goes the core. I cut the core out and put the whole thing in there. And then I lifted it out, I drained it, and then we peeled the cabbage leaves off, like this. And they just come out in sections.
Beautiful.
And so that's real easy to do. And then what I did with the cabbage leaves, I want to get them ready so that we can stuff them. And they don't bend too well with this ridge on there from the stalk. So I just get a little paring knife and I just trim that down.
Move the onion so we can see it better. Thank you.
See that? Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when we put the stuffed cabbage in here to cook, we're making a bed of vegetables, of the scraps and so forth. Here is here are the pieces that I got from the other leaves. Here, Connie.
Yes, ma'am.
My cohort Connie is here helping me once again. And then we're going to peel this one too and just slither it down. We're getting that bed ready.
So when you say you're peeling it, you're taking that
The ridge off.
The ridge, thank you.
Because if it's on there too thick, when you fold the cabbage over and stuff it, it doesn't bend.
Okay, so lift this up and show us what that ridge looks like when before you cut it.
Okay,
Yeah, because I can't see it laying down.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do this without Connie or Reverend PJ, who's our camera person.
Yeah.
See how that ridge is?
Okay, that lump.
And if you try to fold it over like this, it's not pliable.
Okay, so you're cutting that piece out, that little
I'm
small piece right there.
Cutting that little ridge off right here.
Got it.
But not all the way through, just peeling it off the top.
Okay,
And I'll just
thank you.
use this one too. Now see this?
Good.
I just get a paring knife and I just gently cut it,
Gotcha.
trim that off. And we don't want to lose the flavor. It's silly to throw this in the garbage. So,
Thank you.
and then we're going to use an onion, and I'm going to put that on the bed too. And the reason we make a bed of vegetables in the pan is because it helps the actual little stuffed cabbage to not be scorched and to cook more gently.
Ah,
Now we don't want to waste this either. You're not going to eat it, but this adds a lot of flavor. Throw that in there
with the skin on.
with the skin on.
Okay.
We're not eating it, so. And then I had 4 stalks of celery, and for the meat mixture, I'm using the leaves because the leaves have more flavor. There.
Excellent.
So all that makes the bed. We're going to add
I'm going to go ahead and tip the pot so we can see what the bed's looking like right now. The pot that you have the bed in, let's lift that up
yeah,
just a
can
little
you
bit.
see that?
Yeah, there it is. Beautiful.
I'm going to
Okay.
throw a tablespoon of salt in there.
Okay.
And a tablespoon of caraway seeds.
Okay.
You know, every culture has a stuffed cabbage recipe of one kind or another. But this is a German recipe, and what makes it German is you're using caraway seeds.
Okay.
So I'll throw about a tablespoon of caraway seeds in there,
All right.
okay? And then 1 can of diced tomatoes,
Okay.
okay?
The small size.
Yes. And now I'm going to turn this on simmer so that'll start warming up. And now we're going to make the meat mixture. I'm going to walk over here to the blender.
All right.
I need that gray bowl. Did I give
Right
it?
back there.
Oh,
in the
thank you.
sink. On the stove.
It takes a village.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna walk over to the blender, and this is half a can of tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce.
Or it would be the equivalent of one small can.
Okay.
And I do this in the blender so everything chops up and blends, and you get the flavor mixed throughout,
Okay.
rather than chopping up the onion, little minced onion, and being all fancy. Let's just be easy about it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pour that tomato sauce in there. Add 1 egg.
A raw egg. Okay.
And the onion, I'm going to cut it up a little bit so it'll blend more easily. The celery,
Good.
about a tablespoon more salt for this, and a sprig of parsley. Now, I could have chopped all that by hand, but you know what? That's a pain in the behind, so. Done.
All right.
And when you mix anything where you're going to have hamburger meat, or like you're going to make meatloaf, or you're going to make meatballs, or anything that you have a liquid and dry ingredients, you always mix up the liquid part first and mush it all up just like this so that the flavor gets all through the product. And this is going to be a little bit soupy, but we're putting a cup of rice in there, and while it cooks, that rice is going to absorb that liquid.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you through with this?
And then we're also going to put a tablespoon of caraway seeds in there. There.
What does caraway seeds taste like, and what does it do?
It tastes like rye bread.
Yeah.
Rye
Right.
bread?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
And then, let's stir this up a bit. And now we're going to add the meat. And on the recipe that I've given you, it calls for a pound of hamburger meat, and it gives you all the proportions. But if you're serving a large group, thank you, then you just increase it.
Okay. But that's the only thing you increase. The other stuff stays the same. The one thing of
No,
tomatoes.
increase everything.
Increase everything a little
appropriately.
bit. Okay.
So you just squish it up. And you see, it looks like it's a little bit too liquidy,
Mm-hmm.
but it isn't really. Because, as I said, the rice is going to absorb. You want to make sure it's all mixed thoroughly. Okay. Excuse me, I'm going to step over there and wash my hands.
All right. Just gonna go off camera for a second. Let's see what's going on with that big pot.
Okay.
Just warm it up. Okay.
Now, here comes the fun part. We've got that going. And I'm going to use the ice cream scoop because it measures everything equally. You see, you with the cabbage leaf, it has a concave part here like a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's the part that we just shaved off, which we shaved off on the outside. We put a spoonful of that on there. Roll that over like a little papoose, and then just roll it, roll it, roll it. And there's a little cabbage.
Okay. Just put it over here to the side. Okay.
We're going to do all of these. Hopefully everything will come out even. And the reason I'm not going ahead and putting it in the pot
Yeah.
because if I have any more cabbage than I have meat, I'll just chop that up and add it into the pot. So I'll just do that later.
Okay. How many how many rolls do you normally get? Do you expect to get out of this?
It varies.
Okay.
I said that this dish would serve 4 to 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that you're going to have 2 cabbage rolls per person.
Okay.
I remember one time when I was much younger, in my 40s, and I was single and didn't have much money, Reverend Kay Hunter over at the Religious Science Church, where I went at the time, found out that I could cook, and she arranged for me to cater a wedding.
Sweet.
I made $300, and believe me, that $300 was precious to me.
Wow.
But I knew that the couple was Polish.
Huh.
And so I did stuffed cabbage, but instead of big ones like this, and this was a really pain in the butt too. I made little teeny tiny bite-sized ones.
Oh,
And so what did you do? Just do the leaves in half or quarters? How did
Yeah, they were about, I cut it in half, and then I'm not remembering
That's okay,
exactly
yeah.
what I did, but they were a little bitty.
That's cute.
And then we just served them up. The people were really happy because I honored their culture. And I was really happy.
she got
And
$300.
how Reverend Kay, but if you knew her, you would know that somehow she knew everybody's issues. You never had to say a word to her, and she was there to help you. She's just passed last year, or maybe the year before, but she was like the Indian lady. I think they call her Amma, and all Amma does is sit up there and spread love. She just smiles and sends love out of her body. And Reverend Kay was pretty much that way too. She really was a remarkable woman.
And I think that's something that love does. Now you talked about, you got invited to do the wedding, and you thought about those people and what they might want. And so because of your big heart and thinking about others, you thought, well, what would they, of course somebody would want something from their culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you did. And that's what happens when you look through the eyes of love. Those ideas and thoughts come to you because we are connected
right.
through love.
And that's our nature.
Yeah.
If we just relax and let it happen, I think we're going to come out about even.
Well, look at that.
Look at that. Or,
Not. Yeah, but you
I have one left over.
put one extra one on there too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I didn't, I never count or figure it's just going to work out. Uh-oh. Look at that.
There you go. Double
Wait,
record.
I'm going to fix that. It's like a pie crust. I'm going to tear a little bit off of this one and line my, here you go.
I didn't know you did that with pie crust. So if you have a whole or a thin piece of pie
Right.
crust, just add some more. I'll learn
Yes,
something new.
You take pieces and patch it up.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay. And let's waste not, want not. I'm going to put this in the pot too.
Nice.
And let's tear this up and put those pieces in there. And all that is on the bed, on the bottom, making a little bed. There. Can you see that?
Yes, beautiful.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to lay these in there. Very gently, seam side down. Now, usually I cook a crock pot dish. I would not advise making this into a crock pot dish for this reason. If you put it in a crock pot and it cooks for 3 hours, all that rice is going to turn to mush.
Ah.
And this way it still has a rice shape to it.
Okay.
Now over here, I have about a half a can of V8 juice that I'm going to put in there. And I'm going to get some equal amount of water because the purpose, this should be soupy and brothy. Give it a shake. Can you see that?
Yeah, tip it up. There you go. Beautiful. Wait, I'm sorry. There, one more time. I didn't have it on. I didn't have it on there.
One more time, okay.
Yeah,
There you have it.
that's great. Thank you.
Gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna bring it to a little boil. And at that point, I'm gonna turn it down and I'm going to cook it for 45 minutes to an hour. Depends on the size of your cabbage rolls.
So those little bitty ones you wouldn't have cooked for about 30 minutes or so,
Right,
20
right,
minutes or
because
so.
you don't want the rice to get mushy.
Okay.
Now, over here, I have some that are already cooked. Can you see this?
Let's
See
see.
how they look cooked?
No, you gotta move the other pot out of the way because that pot's taking up the same
okay.
space.
Can you
Okay.
see that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's what they're gonna look like. Now the thing about cabbage rolls, and I said this in my little write-up, is that it's different in every culture. They're still cabbage rolls. And when I think about that, I think about how many of these righteous religious people get all bent out of shape because another group of people called the one God Mohammed, or they call it Buddha, or whatever, or the Native Americans call it Great Spirit. You know, it's all the same thing. It's God's like a cabbage roll. It's a cabbage roll. You make it different, it's still a cabbage roll. So my point is, do not get bent out of shape. When people speak of their spiritual understanding in a different way than you.
Absolutely, because God speaks to you in a way that you can understand.
Yeah, that's
So
one
whatever that
thing
is.
that we do at Harmony Spiritual Center. We honor wherever you come from. It doesn't matter. We are a teaching group, a teaching spiritual
Center.
methods and techniques and understanding, and we honor whatever your source energy is.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's dish this up and so you can see how it looks on a plate.
Oh.
Okay. And then they're going to turn the camera off and we're going to eat them all up.
That's the fun part.
There's one all whole. Let's get another one and slice into it so you can see how it looks on the inside. Can you see that?
All right, we can. Let me just tip that right up a little more. And there it is. Look at that. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to add a little more broth to it. Because that's part of the yumming. But this is a wonderful dish for the autumn. Now look at here. Here's that whole piece of celery that we put in for the bed. We're not going to eat that. It's just there to protect the cabbage rolls. There. There you are. Happy autumn.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Reverend Pat. Yay. All
Mwah.
right. Mwah. Yeah.